And welcome to Introduction to Meditation. This is week 3. For anybody joining for the first time, don't worry too much. This is when it gets really good. Just to let you know a little bit about the structure of what we're going to do. The main thing that we do each week is really this is about meditation. So we're going to meditate. We're going to meditate 3 times, and it's going to be a very similar technique each time, but there's going to be very slightly different instruction. So if you haven't done this before, just invite you to do your best. Stick with it. And what I always say to everybody, and I'm going to talk more about this during the class, but if you possibly can, try to put any expectations you have or judgment you have on hold, at least until the end of the class. Now, I know that's hard. It's human nature to judge, to evaluate, to decide if you like it, if you don't like it. But if you possibly can, just try to put that on hold. And it's not to let me off the hook. By all means, at the end of it, decide whether you liked it or you didn't like it, if you think I was worth listening to or not. But in meditation, it's generally best to try and avoid judgment, because judgment just gets in the way of the meditation. So, just a quick recap of what we've done over the last couple of weeks. Week 1, just to remind you, you can do this, even if you think you can't. Meditation is not about holding your attention in perfect focus all the time. Meditation is really about placing your attention somewhere and then seeing what happens next. And what happens next is your mind is probably going to jump in and take you off somewhere else. And then the key is simply to notice when your mind has gone somewhere else. And when your mind has gone somewhere else, you just bring it back to the breath and we start again. Just because you get distracted does not mean you're doing it wrong. It doesn't mean you're bad at meditation. It just means you have a mind and you're doing it right. So you can do this. That was really week 1. Week 2 was sort of the underlying premise of a lot of meditation is that your mind is an amazing thing, but it's also flawed in at least a couple of different ways, and maybe more. And in meditation, well, one of the ways of thinking about meditation is really about becoming familiar. Becoming familiar. And there's a couple of things that we're becoming familiar about. One is we're becoming familiar with our mind. So when you first meditate, you're told, okay, pay attention to the breathing. And you're like, okay, with my mind, I'm going to pay attention to the breathing. And your mind very quickly wants to go and do something else. And so that first insight of meditation is we are not as in control of our mind as we might think. And so we're becoming familiar with that, and we're becoming familiar with how it works, where it goes, what it does. We're starting to notice it. Each time you get distracted, each time you notice that your mind took you somewhere, you're building this skill of awareness of your own mind. And that's really, really powerful and important. So when you get distracted, something good is actually happening, or at least I should say, when you notice you've got distracted. So that's one thing, becoming familiar with our mind. The other thing is that we're starting to get familiar with this slightly different state of mind, different state of consciousness. Most of the time we're in our head, we're thinking, processing, judging, evaluating, worrying, solving problems, all that kind of stuff. And that's our day. And that's mostly where we're going and what we're doing. But in meditation, we place our attention into the present moment. We're just resting on something that's going on right now. Traditionally, that's the breathing, but it can be a candle flame. It can be a piece of music. It can be the sensations of your body. But we're placing our attention on something that's going on in the moment and simply trying to rest our awareness there without judging the moment, without any mental stuff going on. We're just in pure awareness of it before the mind kicks in with judgments, evaluations, concerns, worries, daydreaming, whatever it goes. So we may only be able to touch into that for a moment. But when we do, that's a beautiful thing. And each time we do that, we're becoming more familiar with it.